INFJ men possess a quiet, magnetic presence that draws women in, not because they're flashy or loud, but because they exude something rare: depth, intention, and emotional intelligence. What makes them highly attractive is found in the way they see people. An INFJ man doesn't just hear what you say. He hears the weight behind your words, the silences, the contradictions. For many women, that kind of attention is disarming and deeply attractive. It feels like being known without having to explain yourself. There's also something incredibly grounding about the way INFJ men carry themselves. They're not trying to compete for attention in a room. They don't posture or perform. They observe. They listen. And when they do speak, it's with clarity, purpose, and sincerity. Their words are chosen, not thrown around. There's thought behind their presence, and it makes interactions feel more intentional. This emotional restraint, combined with genuine curiosity, can create an atmosphere of safety, emotional safety, which many women find intoxicating. Beyond their soulful demeanor, INFJ men often possess a creative spirit. Whether it's music, writing, design, or visionary ideas, they have an inner world rich with imagination. When they invite someone into that space, it's like unlocking a hidden chamber. Women are often drawn to this emotional richness because it stands in contrast to the shallow interactions so common in modern dating. Being with an INFJ man feels meaningful, like everything has texture and context. They don't just flirt, they connect. If you're an INFJ who needs clarity, alignment, and a deeper connection with your true self, ensure to check out our INFJ Playbook. The link is in the description of this video. One of the most attractive things about INFJ men is their integrity. They live in alignment with their values, and that commitment shows. They don't play games. If they care deeply. If they commit, they do so with their whole being. This kind of loyalty, paired with their introspective nature, makes them stand out in a world full of emotional ambiguity. Women feel this sense of spiritual and emotional presence. They feel the intentionality behind the INFJ man's affection. It's not impulsive or half-formed. It's real. INFJ men also tend to be emotionally mature in a way that makes vulnerability feel safe and sacred. They're not intimidated by deep conversations. They often crave them. They're willing to sit with complexity, yours and theirs. They don't need to fix you, solve you, or explain you away. They'll sit with your pain and hold it with you. That level of empathy is incredibly attractive to women who are tired of surface-level affection and emotional neglect. There's also the INFJ's mysterious edge. They can be warm and inviting while still maintaining a sense of privacy, a kind of inner sanctuary no one can fully access unless invited. This contrast, emotional availability paired with elusive inner depth, keeps many women intrigued. It makes them want to understand this man who seems both fully present and slightly out of reach. There's a subtle romantic tension in the way INFJ men hold space for people while still protecting their own internal world. That boundary is not a wall. It's a signal that intimacy with them must be earned, not assumed. Because of their idealism, INFJ men often have a strong sense of purpose. They want their lives to mean something. They're not usually content with just getting by. They want to contribute, to understand, to help, to create. This sense of mission, however quiet, adds a layer of attractiveness. Women are naturally drawn to men who move with conviction, who have a spiritual or philosophical compass. The INFJ man might not broadcast his mission, but when he shares it, you can feel the depth behind it. It's not just words. It's who he is. There's also a unique way INFJ men make women feel. They don't objectify. They don't dominate. They don't try to impress. They mirror back your worth through their presence. And in a world that often demands women to prove themselves, this kind of soulful acknowledgement can feel like exhaling after holding your breath for too long. While INFJ men may not be the ones turning heads in a crowd, they're the ones that linger in the mind long after a conversation ends. They're the ones women remember because of how they made them feel seen, valued, safe, and inspired. Their attractiveness isn't a performance. It's a quiet, steady current of depth, kindness, and conviction. And for the right woman, that's not just attractive. That's irresistible. Many women find themselves drawn not just to what INFJ men say or do, but to the feeling of being around them. There's a softness to their presence that contrasts beautifully with their strength of character. They hold space in a way that doesn't demand attention, but naturally commands respect. Their empathy doesn't shout, it radiates. You sense it in the way they pay attention to the details you didn't think anyone noticed, the tone behind your words, the way your energy shifts when you're uncomfortable, the stories you didn't finish but wish someone had asked you about. There's something deeply romantic about how INFJ men love. They are not transactional with their affection. They love in layers, in silence, in subtle gestures that speak volumes. They'll remember what matters to you, not just the big things, but the offhand comments you forgot you made. They'll bring you books that reflect your inner world, or send music that captures the emotions you couldn't name. Their expressions of love are poetic and tailored, not generic. This personal, thoughtful form of affection can feel almost sacred in a dating culture that often prioritizes speed over sincerity. INFJ men also have a rare kind of confidence, one rooted not in bravado, but in self-awareness. They don't need to dominate a conversation to feel secure. They're not threatened by intelligent, emotional, or independent women. In fact, they're drawn to depth in others, and they tend to flourish in relationships where emotional honesty is mutual. This quiet self-possession is magnetic because it's not performative, it's grounded. They've often spent years learning who they are, questioning everything, confronting their shadows, and emerging with a sense of internal clarity. That kind of inner work can't be faked, and it draws women who are seeking more than just surface chemistry. Another deeply attractive quality is the INFJ man's ability to offer emotional stability in an unpredictable world. Because he's done the inner excavation, he often brings a level of consistency in how he shows up, loyal, present, thoughtful. He's not likely to ghost or play hot and cold. He communicates, even if it's slow or measured. He respects emotional nuance and doesn't shame others for feeling deeply. For women who have been dismissed, overlooked, or misunderstood in past relationships, this emotional reliability feels like a sanctuary. INFJ men are rarely interested in trends or doing what's popular. Instead, they move according to their own compass, often embracing what's meaningful over what's convenient. They're more likely to talk about dreams and human nature than gossip. Their authenticity can inspire women to drop their own masks, to speak their truths, to lean into vulnerability without fear. This mutual unveiling creates an intimacy that feels timeless, a sense of emotional resonance that's hard to find and even harder to forget. INFJ men are also quietly courageous. Their battles are often invisible to the outside world, fighting self-doubt, navigating existential questions, carrying the weight of other people's emotions. But they keep showing up. They keep caring. They keep trying to make the world a little softer. This type of emotional courage, the willingness to feel everything and still stay open, is profoundly attractive. It's the kind of strength that doesn't need validation, yet deeply impacts those around them. And then there's their eyes. INFJ men often have this gaze, a soft, penetrating look that feels like it sees straight into your soul. It's not intrusive, it's inviting. You don't feel exposed, you feel recognized. As if for once, someone isn't just looking at you, they're looking into you, not to judge but to understand. That kind of eye contact can leave a mark. It's not about seduction, it's about soulful presence. And once a woman experiences it, it's hard to settle for anything less. INFJ men are seekers. They are constantly evolving, yearning for growth, meaning, and connection. They're not content with stagnation, emotionally, intellectually, or spiritually. They want to build something real, whether it's a life, a love, a purpose, or a world. Being in a relationship with an INFJ man often feels like being part of a quiet revolution, slow, deep, and transformative. It's not about perfect compatibility or instant gratification. It's about shared growth, mutual respect, and a deep knowing that, in a world of noise, you've found something rare. INFJ men listen to understand. This quality, though often overlooked at first, becomes undeniably attractive over time, especially to women who are emotionally intelligent themselves. There's no rush, no ego-driven need to be right, No urge to interrupt or outshine. Just presence. Still, grounded, sacred presence. And that creates an experience that many women have never known. Feeling heard in a way that is healing. This subtle emotional leadership is one of the INFJ's most quietly powerful traits. Women are drawn to men who can hold both intensity and gentleness at once. And the INFJ does this effortlessly. They can sit with someone in pain without panicking, without trying to fix or distract or flee. They meet emotions where they are and say, "You don't have to be okay for me to stay." That kind of emotional maturity is not only rare, it's deeply attractive to women who crave intimacy, not just chemistry. INFJ men also possess a natural inclination toward emotional exclusivity. They're not typically interested in spreading their energy thin across shallow relationships. When an INFJ man chooses to invest in someone, it means he's thought about it, probably over and over. He's not one to love lightly. His loyalty doesn't come from obligation, but from a soul-level resonance that tells him, this person matters. That sense of devotion, though quiet, is felt deeply by the woman he's chosen. And in an era of fake love and short attention spans, that kind of deep-rooted loyalty is magnetic. Another irresistible quality of INFJ men is their poetic way of seeing the world. Life is not mundane to them. It's layered, symbolic, full of meaning. And when they love someone, they see that person the same way, with awe, reverence, and appreciation for both their beauty and brokenness. They're not afraid of scars. A woman in relationship with an INFJ man often feels like a muse, not because she is being idolized, but because he truly sees the art in her existence. INFJ men ask questions that spark reflection. They challenge surface-level thinking. They want to understand your why, not just your what. Being with them invites depth and growth. It becomes a journey, not a transaction. For women who are introspective or spiritually minded themselves, this kind of relationship feels more like a pilgrimage than a path to comfort. And that's thrilling. INFJ men value wholeness over perfection. They're not usually chasing some ideal partner or checking boxes. They don't expect you to have it all figured out. In fact, they tend to love you more for the things you're still working through, for the honesty in your confusion. That kind of acceptance, free of judgment, but full of discernment, creates a foundation for the kind of love most women deeply crave, love that liberates rather than confines. Their internal consistency is another trait that builds attraction over time. INFJ men may be complex, but they are not chaotic. Their decisions come from deep reflection. Their values are stable. They don't shift their personality to please the room. That kind of integrity, especially in the emotional landscape, becomes incredibly attractive the more time you spend with them. There's a safety in knowing that who he is in private will match who he is in public. That what he says to your face will align with what he says in your absence. Even their quietude holds weight. INFJ men often speak less, but feel more. They don't rush to fill silence. Instead, they allow room for reflection, which makes their eventual words carry depth and impact. When they offer you their insight or open their heart, you can be sure it came from a place of authentic care. There's no manipulation, no emotional bait, just a quiet offering of truth. And in a world where words are often used carelessly, the INFJ man's restraint and thoughtfulness make him stand out. INFJ men are moved by beauty, not in a superficial aesthetic sense, but in how they witness the way someone smiles when they're unguarded, or how a person's voice changes when they talk about something they love. They notice nuance. They feel detail. And women are drawn to that rare kind of attentiveness, not because it flatters the ego, but because it nourishes the soul. INFJ men also have a sacred relationship with truth. They aren't interested in shallow honesty. They want emotional authenticity. That means they often bring conversations into deeper waters. Women who long for emotional connection beyond small talk often find this irresistible. It's not about intensity for intensity's sake. It's about depth that creates safety, exploration, and real understanding. They are also men of deep inner romance. While they may not always be vocal or showy about it, their love is layered, rich, and soulful. They express it through long drives filled with quiet music and side glances, through handwritten notes that carry more weight than an hour of small talk, through remembering your favorite poem or bringing you something that reminded them of your story. For them, romance isn't a performance. It's an extension of how they see the world, full of symbolism, subtlety, and sacred moments. They also inspire emotional growth, not by pushing or fixing, but by their very presence. Being around an INFJ man often challenges a woman to look inward, to ask deeper questions, to slow down and listen to her own soul. They don't force transformation, but they invite it. And something about the safety of their presence makes growth feel not just possible, but inevitable. The most attractive thing about INFJ men is that they don't even struggle to be attractive to women. It's who they are. For the right woman, loving an INFJ man isn't just romantic, it's soul-defining. It's the kind of relationship that feels like poetry wrapped in presence, mystery cradled by trust, and silence that somehow says everything. And that, my friend, that is unforgettable. If you're an INFJ who needs clarity, alignment, and a deeper connection with your true self, ensure to check out our INFJ Playbook. The link is in the description of this video.